welcome to the sixth webinar of the Gift of Learning. We are so excited for everyone who joined today. This webinar is called How to Manage Stress, and basically we're going to be playing some fun little games at first, just try and relax, and then Marlene over here, she'll be leading and leading those games and telling us how to manage stress, especially during these times when there are finals going on, a bunch of midterms coming up, and all of that stuff. So yeah, I'm going to wait maybe like a minute just in case someone else wants to show up, and I'll get started then.
Okay. Will people be able to unmute themselves if they want to speak, or is it set up to not?
Oh yeah. Let me just do that.
Very cool. Welcome to everyone. It's so nice to, I want to say nice to see you, but I see your rectangle. So yeah. I thought it would be, just since we're getting to know each other, if people wanted to either share out loud where they're from, I thought that would be kind of fun because we could be from anywhere in the world, right? So I live in Falls Church, Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. Where are other people hailing from?
Yeah, so guys, this is a very interactive webinar. If you guys want, you guys can turn on your videos, talk as well. Not like our other webinars where we are just having the guest speaker talk. So if you guys do want to talk, feel free to talk or chat in the chat. Either one is fine.
Cool. Hey, Maria, where are you from, Maria?
From California.
Oh, what part of California?
San Diego.
Oh, very nice. We have snow on the ground. I'm sure you do not have snow on the ground.
Yeah, it's pretty sunny.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, is it Amruta?
Amruta, yeah.
Nice to meet Amruta. Sorry, I thought that was another R. Hi, Amruta. Where are you from?
I was born in Minnesota, but I am currently living in Fairfax, Virginia.
Oh, you're near me. We're very close to each other. You still have snow on the ground?
Yes.
Yeah.
I recently just moved from Falls Church.
Oh, sweet. I live very close to the McLean Falls Church side of town.
Oh, I live near West Falls Church, right off of Lee Highway.
That's so fun.
I mean, I used to live there.
Yes, right.
And before I forget, just to introduce the Gift of Learning really quickly, we are basically an organization that helps and provides education to students for free. So we are actively trying to reach out to third world countries and so on. Amruta just shared the screen. Here's all our website and contact information. So if you guys are interested in tutoring for to these students who need help, or if you're interested in just supporting us, please go check these out. We'll also be recording this webinar and posting it on our Instagram, YouTube, all of that stuff. So go support it over there as well. And yeah, so that's pretty much about the Gift of Learning. Oh, also, if you guys are interested in something that also relieves stress, we have opened up a Discord recently. I'll put the link in the chat by the end of the meeting, but we are basically going to be doing like online games, Among Us games, just to de-stress every 1 or 2 weeks. So if you guys are interested in that, feel free to join that as well. But yeah, oh, and just to introduce, I am Shivi. I am one of the founders of the Gift of Learning, and so is Amruta over here, and Eesha.
Very cool. Thank you. Okay, we'll round out the house with just a quick, Eesha, where are you living? Where are you from?
Hi, I live in Chantilly right now, but I lived in Falls Church for like 10 years.
That's so fun. We're like the Falls Church gang.
Yeah.
And Michelle, can you share where you're from? Where do you live?
Yeah, I'm from Toronto, Canada.
Oh, wow, super fun. Welcome.
Mm-hmm.
How did you hear about this session today?
I was actually a Gift of Learning tutor for a bit during the summer.
Sweet.
So that's how I found out.
That's really fun. Welcome. And then we have Atul. Atul, where are you from?
All right, they might not want to talk. All right, if you guys can't talk, then you might just want to put it in the chat. I see that they're unmuted, but
that's cool. Hi, welcome to Andy. And then there's somebody named iPhone. Hey, iPhone, where are you from? And Andy, did you want to share where you're from in the world? A state or a city is fine if you want. Country. No worries. No worries. Oh, hi. Is that Sampada? Sampada. Where are you from, Sampada? We were just quickly introducing ourselves and saying where we're from. All right, no worries. So today's session, like we were saying earlier, is going to be, oh, I'm from New Jersey. Hi, Sampada, welcome. Good to have you. Yeah, so we'll keep the chat open so we can talk to each other that way, but I really welcome you to unmute yourselves and chat. Talk directly. But I'll just briefly say, my name is Marlene Sandhu. As you saw, I work for a nonprofit organization called SKY. There's SKY Schools and SKY for Kids and SKYs for Adults. So SKY is a technique for managing stress. And I don't know what else I want to say about me, but I just have a lot of fun things I thought we could do. The first question is, something I'm just going to unmute for a minute because there's an echo, but feel free to unmute later. So the question I have for you, it's sort of like, let's look at this. The topic is stress, but the question is, and I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer to this, I just think it's an interesting question to look at, is stress good? Is stress bad? So I'm curious. I think it's just a matter of opinion. I'm not suggesting that like one of you is going to hit my right answer. I just think it's an interesting sort of internal debate for us to even look at. Like, what is stress good? Is stress bad? So
yeah, so guys, feel free to go just chat it, or you guys can talk as well. By the way, I was a part of SkyChain's course, and I did it for weeks, and it is actually a really, really good course. So maybe at the end, Marlene, you can maybe put on your contact information or like information to sign up for SkyTeens or something. So if any of you are interested in that as well, you guys can sign up for that, because I was a part of it and I learned so much from it. So yeah. Thanks. Oh, and for stress, I think stress is actually really good. Personally for me, it just motivates me to do better. But obviously overstressing is not that great for you.
I got it. That sounds interesting. Maria just put something similar. Thanks, Maria. I think chronic stress is probably not that great, but occasional stress is okay. Yeah. Anybody else want to add? Amruta, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, so I agree with both Maria and Shivangi that like a little bit of stress is kind of good for you, as it gives you the motivation to finish or, relieve that stress in some way or another. But I feel like stressing yourself out too much or taking too much of a burden on yourself is kind of harmful to not only like your mental state, but your physical state as well. So you should moderate and control and see where is my stress coming from, and try to handle it so it doesn't get out of control.
That's really good. Yeah, good point there about how can we moderate our stress or manage our stress so we don't get it out of control. And I think that's the interesting thing as we're talking about this that's coming to my mind, is that okay, it's fine to have stress, but at some point it goes over some tipping point. Would that be a fair way to say it? And it's like, even in my own life, when it's going up and I can see it's going up and I don't want it to be going up, but I don't know how to make it not go up because all the circumstances and situations around me feel like they're unchangeable. Is that fair to say? Yeah, you could drop out of school, but I don't think you want to, right? You wouldn't be here if that was your answer, right? So, okay, I don't want to drop out of school. I don't want to, leave my sports game, whatever it is, whatever it is I'm committed to it for a reason, because it either brings me joy or it's a responsibility, whatever it is. So if I can't get out of the situation and I see the stress climbing up, well, how do I keep it from, I'll use Maria's term, right? From becoming chronic stress. Does that kind of hit it? Is that a fair way of describing it for folks? Does anybody want to add anything or sort of modify that description of it? If it feels like it's I don't know if you have reactions on yours, you can give a thumbs up or a thumbs down, no, you're not hitting it, lady. But you can either. Okay, so for some people, yeah, it's kind of hitting it. I think I don't know if you can do reactions if your video's off, can you? I don't know. You guys can figure that out. So, okay, well, I'm going to assume that it sort of hits it. So there was a study done about 100 years ago. It's called the Yerkes Dodson. And you guys, you know the standard bell curve. Like, I know you didn't come on here to learn about bell curves, but it's an interesting thing, I think, because exactly what we're saying, and we all experience, like, okay, wow, yes, my stress can go up and my productivity goes up, right? It's like if somebody told you, here's a report, just do it whenever you want, there's no rush. We don't get it done, right? Or like, okay, I'll clean the house, but until somebody's showing up, then I'm running around in circles cleaning up the house, right? So a little bit of stress is good. It gives us productivity, we get things done, but then you hit this point. And what the Yerkes Dodson bell curve showed was that when you get to this point, your productivity just goes bam. And you're not productive anymore. The stress has hit some kind of breaking point, that stress point, and then boom. So this, I mean, like at some degree, who needs a study to prove that? Because we experience it, right? Like, thanks, Yerkes Dodson, we're all over that. But what they also found was that when people use some sort of restorative or technique or something to manage their stress, and they could kind of hang out here near the top without going goop over the edge, and not only hang out at the top, but the key was that they went back to zero. They had tools and mechanisms to unplug, de-stress, and go back down to where they had no stress for some period of time so that they could again go way up to that peak performance level. I don't know, is anybody here an athlete and can relate to that idea of like how I'm not an athlete, but am I describing it well? Like when you gotta push your body to some sort of physical limit, right? But then like athletes will stop training, right? You got to stop training for a couple of days so your body recovers and then again push it, right? And then maybe that peak is now up here, right? So that's somewhat a way to equate it to what's happening in our brains. Is this relatable, what I'm describing, this experience?
Yeah, definitely. Personally, I think that is because I do dance, and like sometimes I see myself pushing myself, like dancing on for hours, trying to get on like one technique perfect, and I just reach that breaking point. But then obviously once you get to that point, you like do things like risking injury and like risking mental break or something like that. So you have to like come back down and cool down a little bit. So yeah, I think I totally agree with that. I'm pretty sure a lot of people here would too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well.
So Michelle, yeah, it rings true for you as well, the description.
Yeah, because if I do martial arts, so if there's something that I don't understand or I don't know how to do properly, like you keep practicing and practicing and practicing it, but you got to give yourself like rest.
Right, you got to come back down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great example of it. It's really, we see it so easily in sport on the physical body, you could say. But somehow when we go do the same with our mental, right? Like our whatever that's called, our intellect, our mind. So we just keep pushing and pushing and we can see it. I mean, don't you feel like you see when you're at that? Sometimes you don't see it, perhaps. Sometimes somebody's like, dude, you seem so stressed, right? And you're like, oh yeah, I'm stressed. But sometimes we really can see it. Like, I think most of the time we know it. It's like, oh my gosh, I have this exam and this paper and this, and it's like, man, how do I get out of this, but still have my peak performance and I still want to do well in the exam. I still want to do blah, 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 blah. So I can't just be like, okay, I'm just going to go and unplug 100% and just not do it, right? So the key is, how do we get our mind to unplug and go back down to that place? So what Sky is a breathing technique, a really super powerful breathing technique that people use to get their mind to quiet down and go back to that zero place. And it's a daily practice that you can do, but not everybody does it daily, but you can. It builds up resistance and resilience in your system. So I thought what I could do today is, I'm not able to teach you the Sky technique because you have to go through a 3-day class to learn the process. But I thought what I could do is teach you guys a technique that you can continue to use. and to help you kind of get down to that zero space. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
All right, so, but let's start with one part of that before we go into the experience of it, which is, what is the question I want to ask? I guess the question I want to ask is, have you noticed how your mind is when it's not getting all the energy that it needs? Does that make sense? Like the day you don't sleep well, or you don't eat well, you know, you skip a meal, you just have a granola bar, you miss some hours of sleep. How do you notice your mind? Like, obviously you're physically tired, but what you could put in the chat, what would be the mood that people would describe that you're in that day? Like they may be like, oh, iPhone hasn't, or well, I won't use iPhone in the name, Sampada hasn't eaten today, you know, don't go near Sampada. And they might say, Sampada's feeling really. So what are the emotions that you think people would put into describing you on those days where your energy is low? You can just type it into the chat box. The chat is open, I believe. Yeah. Let's see. Anybody want to put anything in there or say it out loud? You're more than welcome to. Tired, agreed, Amruta. And what would they say about your mood? I'm going to put mine.
Personally, people would call me grumpy. I've heard a lot of people are snappy and grumpy. Yeah, exactly.
Snappy, grumpy. What else? Do people have other ones they want to throw in there? Cranky. Yeah. Yeah, right? We know this experience that on the days when we don't have enough energy, it not only affects our physical body, it affects our mood and our mind. And we don't have the same recall, right? You sit down at a test and you don't have your energy. Hangry, Maria, totally. There's a whole term for it. Hangry. Yeah, like, so what do you do? Say now you're sitting in front of the exam or wherever you are, you got to make the presentation and you got all these moods, or you know you're gonna, like your friends are like getting annoyed with you and you don't want to keep being annoying, but your body just doesn't have the fuel at that moment. So there's another source of energy, right? We get our energy from our food that we eat, the water that we drink. We get our energy from the sleep at night and some exercise, a balance of both. But there's another huge source of energy that this body uses that we don't tap into. There's actually two more huge ones. One of which is our breath. So if you think about it, right, how long could you live without eating? You can go, I think, whatever, like, I think it's a week. I don't know. But without drinking, it's even less time. Your body needs water. But without breathing, it's literally minutes that you need before you're gasping for life, right? So breath is this huge source of energy. So why I bring this up is because the same way we know, well, okay, if I'm eating right, and if I'm sleeping well and drinking enough water and getting a bit of exercise, okay, I can expect that I have enough energy and my mood is good. But you can also be accessing your breath to take your mood and your mind and your energy to exponential height. And that's why, one of the reasons why Sky is all about breathing exercises, because when you can use it anytime, right? You're sitting there in the exam, you can't be like, gotta go to take a nap, sorry, or, you know, I'm just gonna go eat my lunch, I'll be back, I'll feel better, I'm gonna take that jog. That always helps, teacher. No, but I can teach you, you can learn through the Sky Teens course, breathing techniques. And the other part of the breathing techniques that is really fascinating is that if you might have noticed that every emotion that you have, angry, happy, excited, whatever emotion, I'll tell you to this way. My friend was taking an acting class and he said, the first thing they taught us to do to express the emotions was to learn to breathe different ways, right? Every time you have a different emotion, automatically your breath changes. You know it, right? If you're excited or, I don't know, happy, right? That like, oh, you have this big inhale. And when you're sad or feeling blah, it's like, oh, it's a big exhale, right? So totally our emotions affect our breath, but what Sky breathing is about is that it reverses that. It takes your breath, changes the rhythm of your breath in a very easy technique, and it changes how you feel. Releases huge amounts of stress, raises up the energy because you're using the breath, and changes how your emotions. It's fascinating. Most people use, anybody want to guess? You can put it in the chat. What percentage of your lung capacity do you think average person on the planet uses, according to whatever study that I read? I don't remember what it was, but what percentage do you think people typically use of their lung capacity? 20% Maria, 30% Eesha. Any other thoughts on it? 20, 30%. Going once, going twice, 20, 60. Going twice, 25. Going 3 times. I don't even know how many times I'm going. Okay, done. Sold. It's 30%, but you guys are all pretty much in the right range. I wish it was 60%, but most people are using 30% of your lung capacity. So that's, going back to the energy levels and how that affects your mind and your mood and, how alert you feel, right? So think about that. 30% of your air, or your capacity to take in air, right? To get energy from that breath. It's not the capacity to get the energy from it, but the amount that you're bringing into your system, right? That'd be the way to say it. It'd be like 1 meal a day, 1/3, right? Or 2 or 3 hours of sleep, because that would be 1/3 of those sources of energy. Imagine how your mind is on the days where you get 1 meal and like 2 or 3 hours of sleep. We're living with 30% of our lung capacity. So we have this huge access to up the ante. I don't know what you want to say, but a huge option to like get a massive amount of energy, right? From our breath. Fascinating. At the end, I'm going to show you this little video in a little bit about a study that was done about sky breathing at Yale University that had really amazing results. So what I'd like to do now, if you're game, is teach you one of our introductory breathing techniques. Thumbs up? I hope so. Oh, cool. Oh, you can do reactions with whatever. Oh, thanks, guys. That helps to know you're out there. All right, cool. So, all right. So the breath that we'll do, it's active. Would you want the active or less active? Active is a 1. How can you show me? You can put it in the chat. More physically active breath or more physically mellow breath. So active or mellow. Either one is great, but what are you guys up for? Active or mellow breath? Active is like hand motions. Okay, Arya's voting active. Anybody else? Active or mellow? Mellow. Oh, we're tied. Tie score. We need another vote. Active or mellow? Active or mellow? Oh, another mellow. Oh, Arya, you're gonna have to recruit some other people to vote. Arya. No, Arya needs the breath. Cool. Anybody else want to vote? Mellow, active. We could be here all day. Okay, so we'll go with, sorry, Arya, but we're gonna go with mellow. So maybe if you want, at the end, we can have time for the other one. So this breath is called victory breath. And the way it goes, I'll do it first and then I'll teach you. So I'll do it with my eyes closed and just listen. It sounds like this. Can you hear it? You'll have to give me a thumbs up if you can hear it. I've lost all of you. Thumbs up. Thanks, Arya. Anybody else could hear it? Thanks, Michelle. Okay, cool. I'm getting to say that you could hear it. That's a good percentage of people. So let me teach you how we're doing that. Oh, thanks for the yep. Okay, so the way to do it is that you're gonna make like what I would describe as this, to get to this sound at the back of the throat. Imagine you were on stage and you have to whisper, a stage whisper to your fellow actor across the stage, right? So you have to do it loud enough for the audience to hear. So you might say, hello. Okay, that was freaky, but that is kind of what we're looking at. Hello, hi. So nobody can hear you. You're all muted. Maybe you're by yourselves. So can you do just that, hello, hi. And then you'll feel a little constriction in the throat, yeah? Hi. I'm gonna assume that you got that. So now you're gonna do it again. Cool, thanks, Eesha. You're gonna breathe out just with that. Make that little sound. And a little bit forceful, but not so much that it's hurting your throat, but. And now close your mouth and make the same sound. And breathe in and make the same sound. And breathe out. And now close your eyes and continue making that sound. Breathing in slowly, easy breath with that little sound. And breathe out with the sound. And breathe in with the sound. And breathe out so slowly with that sound at the back of the throat. Continuing long, easy breaths, making the sound. It's great if you're sitting, not standing. Keep going. And it's also great if the hands are kind of open in the lap, facing the sky. And we're breathing in and out with that gentle sound at the back of the throat. Let's do a couple more breaths like that. Slow, easy breath. You might find you can make the sound even more gently. It still works even with a gentle sound. Slow, full breaths, but very gentle, easy breath. Doesn't need to be a lot of effort. You can see my face is relaxed, my body's relaxed. Keep going, a few more. And then as you finish that breath, if your eyes are closed, just keep the eyes closed, or maybe you want to close them now. And just for a moment, pausing. Noticing the mind. And then, as you feel ready, gently opening the eyes. Good. All right, so now I want to hear from you or see your chat. How are you feeling after doing that breath for just a couple of minutes? Do you notice a change from how you were before? Amruta's feeling great. Awesome, Amruta. That was super relaxing. Oh, good, Eesha. Refreshed. Thank you, Gift of Learning. Good to hear. Other folks, Michelle, Maria, Andy. Oh, Shrishika. How are you guys feeling? Do you definitely more relaxed? Oh, good. Calm. Oh, excellent. Rejuvenated. I know it works because I do it all the time, but to hear other people have their experience of it, so cool. Really good. Awesome. That's great. So this is just, like I said, this is the introductory breath that we use on our sky breathing. Can you imagine that you could take a series of different breaths and it's a 10-minute, no, how many minutes? About 15 minutes home practice. And in 15 minutes, feel like you're feeling right now, but then also extend it into your day. So how do you think you would handle something that's stressing you right now? Like, say you probably don't have an exam right now, but if you're working towards finals and exams and midterms or whatever's going on for your school right now, or who knows what's ever stress, right? There's a lot of stress in the world right now. How do you think you would handle it with this? Like how would that be for you? You can put it in the chat or you can say it out loud. How would this be helpful to have a tool like this for you?
For me, perhaps during like tests or something. Like, I know in the middle of the test you can't just go and do some like 15-minute long meditation or something, but like this is a really quick way to that I personally do use as well to just keep calm during the test if I'm stressing out or running out of time and like my mind is just going so quickly that I'm missing questions. I just like really quickly do this breath to keep calm.
Yeah, because you've taken our full course, so you have the full practice too. But this is the breath that is like so great in the moment. Feels less overwhelmed. Yeah, I get that, Maria. It's like you could hit me with whatever it is now, one of my colleagues, he says, when he does his, we all do our breathing every day. That's why we teach it. But he says before he did it, what I would say, now that he does his breathing, he feels like he's got like this Teflon, like the stress comes at him because it's never going to stop. I mean, look at your parents, right? They don't look less stressed just because they're done with school, I'm guessing. Like the stress just is part of life, whatever it is, there's going to be stress in the world. So what is it? What is your way to get from the top of that curve, and where you see it mounting, what are you going to do to get back down to zero? That's a healthy, long-term, useful, something you could do at the time of those events, right? So that's what I like about it. I do want to show you this brief video. Is that okay? And then we'll come back and do something else. All right. So I'll just share my screen here. Okay, give me 1 second. And I will remember also to share my sound, but let me just pull up the one I want to have. Okay, so 1 second, coming back to you guys. Okay, so I'll just, I think it's 5-minute video. Sure, I'm just share my sound and optimize the video clip, find the video clip, and then expand it and start it. So just give me a thumbs up if you can hear it.
We know that college-age students have a greater prevalence of mental health issues than any other age group. We also know that 60% of students report that they have felt overwhelming anxiety, and over 40% of students have reported feeling so depressed that they were unable to function.
I seriously feel that a lot of students here don't have healthy coping mechanisms to deal with stress, and then we just kind of like shove it under the rug.
The strategies that I use to manage the pressure points at Yale have varied. Usually I kind of don't manage them, but in general, like last semester, if I was overwhelmed by something, I would just kind of shut down.
We see students come in with so much burnout and stress and a very distracted mind, and that makes academics hard and social life even harder.
Instead of sitting down and doing what I needed to do, whether that be work or sports or going to the gym, I would find myself sort of moping around my room a little bit, becoming extremely distracted with social media.
Stress in my life was like, I would kind of have meltdowns not before a race or a big test because I wouldn't know how to handle it that well.
So that's why we launched this randomized control trial with around 200 Yale students. So what we did was have the students go through this 8-week intervention, and right before and right after those 8 weeks, we collected data on their psychological well-being, on measures of stress, anxiety, depression, burnout, life satisfaction, self-compassion, all of the different facets of well-being. We decided to evaluate 3 different empirically validated well-being interventions side by side compared to a control group. An emotional intelligence program, did mindfulness-based stress reduction, and finally we selected the SKY Campus Happiness Program.
So SKY, the Campus Happiness Program, is a comprehensive wellness program that addresses wellness and happiness from many angles, incorporating breath work, yoga, and deep meditation, as well as leadership and service learning, and also positive psychology. The core of the SKY Happiness Program is SKY meditation.
Quite honestly, I was pretty skeptical going into it.
I've never really done breathing exercises. I didn't know that was a thing that you did with meditation. I just assumed meditation was kind of like sitting in a dark room and like trying not to think about anything.
I never really bought into meditation or yoga as a way to improve my well-being.
And then my thoughts about meditation and mindfulness started to change a little bit until we actually got to the...
Cool. I'm just gonna stop it so it doesn't start talking about other things. Hold on. All right, I'm back. Sweet. Pretty cool video, isn't that amazing? I just love that. So, I don't know, I invite you all to learn more and go deeper into the practice. Yeah, Amruta saying so cool. It's amazing, you know, you think about there, you know, whether you're successful in life, whether you're struggling, there's so much, like everybody has stress, but who is teaching us how to manage it? You know, I also teach in the public school system. We teach this program at different public school systems. And so, yeah, sorry, I'm just reading your notes. I really wanted to hear what you said. Sounds like an awesome practice no matter how much stress you have. I totally agree. Totally agree. I don't know, we sometimes say to, I was going to say, like, we hold up a book, you know, and we say like, okay, so how are you able to perceive this book, right? It's through your mind, right? Through the senses, right? But what's more important, the book or the consciousness, the senses that are the mind that is able to perceive the book, right? It's like, what's more important, the algebra, the math, the English, whatever the topic is, or the mind that has to study it and learn it and process it. And we put so much focus on, okay, more math, more blah, blah, blah. But if your mind's not ready to receive because you're so, you know, we're in such a state of stress and we're way up here and we're starting to go over our tipping point and nobody's taught us to come back down here, what's the point? You know, I mean, I'm singing to the choir. I know you guys know this. So if nobody's teaching us that at home or at school, because adults don't know it either, right? I'm teaching adults too, right? So if people don't know how to do that and they're not teaching us how to do it, we've got to go out and find out how to do it. So that Yale video is just fantastic. You know, this program has existed for more than 40 years, 40, and literally it's in 156 countries, and hundreds of millions of people have participated in this program. So I'll share with you the information about it so you guys can decide if you want to come join a program. Is that okay to do that now? Would that be okay? Okay, so I have a slide I put together and I'll put it in the chat box too, but let me see. I'm going to share. I have to go back over here for a second and X out of that and pull up my slide. It's a pretty straightforward slide you'll see here. Okay, let me come back to you, hit share screen. 1 second. Technology. Okay, here it is. Okay, so you can see it, right? So that, so Sky for Kids is the name of one of our websites, but that's where if these dates didn't work for you for some reason, these are the courses that I'm teaching coming up. Sky Kids, I don't know why I actually put that on there because that's for 8 to 12-year-olds, but the Sky Teens is for 13 to 17, and then I put the adult program in case you were like, I think my parents should also do this. So that's why I put that on there. You could see it there, but I thought I will also put them in the chat. I'll stop sharing for a minute and I'll put it in the chat in case that's helpful too as well. I'll find us in the chat. But it's not an expensive program. It's $100 for kids to go through the class, and then you have a daily home practice that you learn. And it used to be in person. It used to be it will be someday again, $200 course. But because of all that's going on in the world, we took it down to $100. And it's over 3 days. It's 2 hours each day. And you learn the Sky home practice. And then we meet up. You can, or whatever, if you'd like to come, we have meetups ongoing that you can come to, and we do the practice together. But you can see from my style that the course itself is very interactive. It's not, you know, it's just, I think it's more fun to be in a space where it's more interactive. So our classes are a lot of conversations and then a lot of games. And we didn't get to play a game today. I didn't know how we could do it without having our monitors, our screens on, I mean. So, but I want to stop there for a moment and just take any questions or comments or anything that I could answer for anybody. So you could put them in the chat or yourself or whatever you'd like to.
So first of all, before if anyone has any questions, feel free to send them and just put them in the chat. I also have some questions that you guys asked while signing up, so I'll ask those as well. But before we get to that, I'm just saying I can personally attest to the fact that the course is really good. I was a part of it. I did do the full thing, and it is a really, really good course. So if you guys do struggle with managing stress, or even if you don't and you just want to have like a better way to, you know, de-stress, relax a little bit, it's just a really good thing. And I think she just put the website on as well, so you guys can check that out too.
That's right. Yeah, there's the website for the other courses. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yep, exactly. So if any of you guys want, then go for it. You guys can check those out. I'm going to start just asking you some questions that the people had. If any of you, again, have any questions, just send them in the chat and we'll answer it. So the first one we had is, when and how did you find your passion for breathing, sky teams, all this?
Oh, that's sweet. Thanks for asking. I think you and I have an echo, so you might have to mute while I'm talking. Okay, thanks. So my passion for it was because it's really my personal story, which I'm more than happy to share. I usually share it with people. I was probably since the time I was in even grade school, but certainly in high school, I went through a lot of depression, just times in my life where I would just feel really, really low. And I didn't have any reason for it. It wasn't like, oh, this catastrophe. I just had this cycle that I would notice that I would go into really low periods of feeling really, really, really depressed. And I didn't have a solution for it. And what I found was that, what do I want to say? I went to therapy and that was helping, but I still was going through this. And I kept trying to like eliminate things in my life, thinking that they were causing me stress. Like, okay, I'll hang out with a different group of friends. Or when I was old enough, I'd say, okay, I'm going to get a different job. And one day I just woke up to the fact that like, wow, the only thing that never changes in all of this is me. I keep trying to change my circumstances and situations of the people around me, but it's really me and if I don't handle my mind, it's never going to be the different out there. I just kind of got that one day. And then my husband had discovered this course and about the same time that I was having this realization. So I had these waves of depression from like high school into my early 30s. And he took this course. He's like, Marlene, I just think there's something there. And so I learned the sky breathing, and I shifted my experience of myself. I had always thought that I was just sort of born on this sad boat. I was like, people are either happy or sad, and I was just born sad, I guess. I just couldn't explain why I had all this sadness and depression. And when I started doing this, from the first experience of my sky breathing, which is typical for people, from the first experience, it cracks that open. And there's just this huge feeling of release of stress and anxiety and tension. And I experienced that. And it was just like, from then on, it just became my daily practice because I was just experiencing so much relief from it. And then soon after that, I became a teacher and became particularly interested in helping teens. I went through a time in that depression of being suicidal. And I just knew that there were other people in the world who would benefit from it and who do. And I would just want to keep passing it on. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can personally attest to the fact that most teens, I'm not going to make assumptions, but I'm pretty sure most of the teens, especially at this day and age, go through that kind of thing where they're not maybe suicidal, but like definitely like sad and demotivated, just especially because of COVID and now that everything is like online. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are feeling that way. So I think this is a really, really good way to just not be as, you're stuck inside home, not feel as demotivated as you do without seeing your friends and all that stuff. So yeah, I definitely do think it's a really good way. Yeah, and Shushika, Marlene, yep, thank you.
Yeah.
Another question we got, what's a quote you live by to help you see a brighter side of things, or perhaps like just a general quote you recommend people live by or you live by?
Well, the one that's coming to my mind has taken me years to understand, so I'll share it, but I must admit, I understood it, but to live by it is just sort of, I feel like I'm just in an ever evolving learning stage. Like Michelle, you mentioned martial arts. I kind of think of it that way. Like a martial artist seems to, even when you get your black belt and all that, I don't know, somehow you're just always learning, always perfecting. There's always like something more, which is a really exciting state to be in. So for me, recently the quote has been about not to look for a paradigm shift, but to observe the mind. So I'll give you a little context for that. So I like to find out how my mind works. Like I'm really fascinated by it. And I sometimes can get caught up in this like, oh, I wonder why I think like that. I wonder if it's because, and like I get into, I should really like, and a paradigm shift for me means like when you start to see the whole yourself and the whole world from a whole new perspective. Like when people thought the world was flat and then there was no denial that the world was round, it just shifted your paradigm. It was like, holy crap, you know, like there's no going back. I could never see the world as not round. I know it is now. So like that. So I'm always like that thrill of like getting this new perspective. But then this quote just was like, you know what, don't get so caught up in that. Just be the observer of the mind. Instead of trying to figure out, why am I doing that? Why am I always like this? Why am I always like, oh, there I go again. I would get so caught up in that, and I still do. And that quote reminds me to just be the observer. Like, okay, I am doing that thing again. I am depressed, or I am getting upset, or I am blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, I don't have to like think my way through it. I can just observe it. I could just step back and be in wonder about it. And then I couple that with my breathing, because just the mind game, I'll call it, of like, okay, I'm just going to tell myself not to worry. To some degree that helps, right? You can get yourself out of situations where you're like, okay, I'm not going to worry about that. But then to some degree, there's like this, there's a habit, or there's a physical sensation of the anxiety or of the stress. It's like, where do I get rid of that? That's where the sky breathing comes in for me. It's like changes the physiology, right? Change the pattern of your breath to change your emotion. So it's a combo. Okay, long answer for a short question, sorry.
No, that was a really, really good answer. Yeah, I agree with you. Again, I only have like 3 or 4 more questions. So if you guys have any other questions, put them in the chat. But yeah, so I'm just gonna combine these 2 questions into one. So one was, how do you overcome test anxiety, and how do you feel less stressed about grades? So I think just generally, how do you feel more motivated and less stressed about school, especially during COVID and online stuff? Yeah.
It is such a good question. When you add in about COVID and online, like that's a whole nother gamut. Let's start with the first part of it. Like, how does one deal with like grades and tests and all the worry and stress that goes about it? And I think that's what we talked about, right? Is that to some degree that stress is useful, right? It gets us to do things, right? The stress of like, I'm worried about my grades is because you're going to succeed, because you have some, you know, like you would say the opposite. Like, are you stressed out about, maybe you are, but are you really, really stressed out about like, I don't know, like there's like, what is that called? Space garbage. I'm a little stressed about it, but not much. But there's like, you know, all the old satellites are like floating around the planet. Okay, like it's good to have some concern about that, but we don't have as much concern about that as we do about our grades and our tests and things, right? It's okay to have a little stress about it, because it makes us a good student. It makes us efficient, right? And we can handle, and then that's where our focus is right now, right? We need to be highly successful in that area. But the question is, how do we stop ourselves from being in that panic mode? And that's where the combination that we talk about in Sky Teens is like the awareness of, okay, this is not the end of the world. Okay, I'm gonna do the best I can, and that to some degree I just have to let it go, right? And the test, you know, people say to think about, okay, the test is really just a reflection for me to know how well I'm doing on the topic, right? You can talk your way through all these things, but to some degree there is a habit thought pattern, or there is the physiological sensations of stress that even when you talk yourself through, you still might feel the palpitations and all this stuff. So how do you unplug that worry? And that's where the breath comes in. It's beyond the intellect, right? Does that make sense? It's beyond just like, how do I think myself out of this box? It's like, what can I do with my breath to change how I feel? And that's where the sky breathing, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, I've said it so many times, but sky breathing has helped me so much through that, just like not feeling so like demotivated. I don't know if I said this, but I did just move from Virginia to Georgia like a month ago. So again, I am all online. I don't necessarily like know a bunch of people since I can't go to in person. And like, it's something that really helps personally me to just overcome that like thing of not being able to hang out with friends. Like I do have friends over here, but again, I can't go hang out with them because of COVID. So it does help with that. So not just school grades or anything, like just with normalize stuff too. It helps.
You know,
yeah.
You mentioned that. I forgot I was going to answer that part too. I know we only have a couple of minutes, but I'm happy to hang out if people want to.
Oh yeah, sure, go for it.
But yeah, how do you handle this COVID stress and all this? And I think you can look around, and we all know people who are not handling it well, right? I mean, like adults, kids, teens, like just across the board, it's been really stressful for people. And I think that's where you need a tool. It's too much to ask of ourselves to just kind of be happy. Just be happy, you know? It's like, yeah. To some degree, yeah. And then to some degree, like, wow, this is really stressful, right? Like there's this COVID thing, there's this whole thing. There are people we know who are sick. There are people we know who have passed away, right? I mean, it's huge, huge, huge. And there are people who are affecting their economy, right? Their livelihood. I don't know if that's affecting any of you, but I know that like all those things, and even if it's not affecting me personally, just knowing that that's happening in the world is stressful, right? Like we're caring, compassionate people. We're human beings. We're all one human race. We're experiencing that more now than ever, that we're just one human population on this planet, right? So it's stressful. It's all stressful. So what is your tool? Like, what is your tool to unplug it, to get back down, to bring that stress back down? And you can think about it and have a lot of chipper thoughts, but it's more than that. And so you just experienced a few minutes ago that victory breath. It's called victory because it's victory over the mind. Because you didn't have to tell yourself, I didn't, add anything to you. I didn't do anything special. You just breathe in a very particular breath. I mean, meaning that I didn't do any special. It's like, not like could that tool be a hobby, like singing? Well, that's interesting. Yeah, let's come to that in a second. But just to think that you just for like less than, I think we did this victory breath for like 2 or 3 minutes at most. I don't even think it was that long. And in that time, you were able to get yourselves down to a calm state. So it's powerful. Yeah, can a tool be a hobby, like a singing? Absolutely. I think that's part of the big basket of things, right? Having friends to be around, having a hobby, going out in nature, all those things are totally important, totally important. But I want you to have something that's building your resilience as well. And singing and all these other things, I do all those other things too. They're so good. Dancing, singing, laughing, being with friends, so important. But couple that with either a meditation practice or a breathing practice, because that builds the resilience of the nervous system. Like, that sounds good. I'm glad. I'm thinking about, I gave that example, like people on the happy boat and people on the sad boat. And I really thought there was no hope for me, but just to go through these waves of sadness. I just thought that was it. And no matter how many other things I was doing, it just wasn't breaking that cycle in my system. So that's why I recommend something like a breathing technique or a meditation technique.
Yeah, definitely. I do think it also makes a really big difference. Like I know small things do make a difference, like dancing, singing, but like that sky breathing, it really, really changes you sometimes. Like when I did it, it did like definitely brought me over from being really, really demotivated to feeling really fresh and productive. So if someone is interested in that, again, go for it. Also, I'm going to put in the Discord invite if anyone wants to join the Gift of Learning Discord. We just started it, so maybe next year in January. So maybe in a couple of weeks we are going to start doing Among Us games. If any of you are interested in that, Kahoots, we might even eventually in the near future do some giveaways, perhaps some money giveaways. So if you are looking for some ways to de-stress or any of that, do join that Discord because there might be a lot of opportunities coming over there. And yeah, so at this point, if anyone has any questions, you can either put it in the chat, or Marlene, would you mind putting in your email or any other contact information?
Yeah, I'm gonna put that in right now.
Yeah, perfect. So if anyone has any questions after this, feel free to just email her over there. There you go. And we'll also be posting this on our YouTube channel as well as our Instagram. So if any of you are interested in watching it again, you can go for it.
Can people who are in live stream, can they see the chat? Probably not.
Actually, I don't think we were able to live stream this.
Oh, that's fine.
The technical, software just fizzled out at the last minute. But yeah, that's fine. Because you're posting it anyway, and I'll put everything in the description if you are watching this on YouTube or Instagram. And if it's not in the description, feel free to DM or email us, and we'll answer it. So yeah, that was it for today. Thank you guys so much for coming.
I'll hang back if anybody has any questions or anything. But it's so nice to meet everyone, and thank you for having me today. I really have enjoyed getting to know you all and to be here. It's really great. Really, really
Yeah,
good.
no problem. It was so great to have you as well. It was really, really helpful. This is definitely really different from
Shushika. Thank you, Shushika. Thanks, guys. It was really great to be together. I really hope to see you again.